Roads. Oh, roads. They're everywhere. We all need them, we all use them. I mean, you can't go 2 steps outside of your house without seeing one, right? Without them, we wouldn't be able to function. Is the purpose of a road not to get you from A to B? So what then is the purpose of so many of these roads? And how truly safe are they for the average Teyvatian? That's where I come in. Hi, I'm B. I'm a road safety inspector, and these are the important questions that we will be exploring in today's video as we go around and audit the safety and performance of Teyvat's roads. This is a topic that I'm honestly surprised hasn't really been covered. That, or I'm just a bit too obsessed with roads and maps in video games. But, no, wait, I wasn't done talking. Now, first I'd like to draw your attention to a road that does make sense, just to give us an idea of what we're working with here. So, the first road and surrounding area that we'll be taking a look at is the most simple one, and that is of course the connecting trade route between Mondstadt and Liuwa. And I think to get an idea of this road, we should first ask this guy. This is a local businessman, I'm sure he can give us a rundown of what's going on. And so according to him, this road used to be fine, but now it's been overrun with monsters. And as such, there's basically no trade. How long has it been like this, you ask? 3 years. Not really sure the Knights of Livonius know how to do their job around here. You know, clear out the monsters so the local economy can maybe pick up again and function? As a road safety inspector, I'm definitely going to have a word with the Knights about this, because this should be a perfectly functioning trade route. And if we move on from that, we can at least safely assume that yes, the road does make sense at least, and it has a purpose, right? Also, going through Dawn Winery as the main stop when you pass through to Liuwa, you're practically forced to stop here, so no wonder they're the most successful wine vendors. And then of course, the road takes you through here to the Stone Gate, and it all serves a purpose, and clearly establishes in the world that this is how these two nations trade land by land. And you've even got this guard here too. Not doing a very good job it seems though. Yeah, no wonder your name's Sleepy, you're sleeping on the job. Look, you've got a Hilichurl right there, my guy. If you don't start doing your job, I'm gonna have a word with the Cheesing, okay? This is my duty as a road inspector. And in terms of safety when it comes to the roads of Mondstadt and Liuwa, at least with the main roads, they're safe for the most part. You go all the way from the Stone Gate to the harbour, and it's extremely safe. You've got guards posted all over, barely any monsters on the road itself. You'd have to really veer off to come across any. Until we get past the arch, and this is where I'm really disappointed with the delegation of the Cheesing here, because they've got a guard post right here, which is great, except there's no guard in it. And you've got treasure hoarders just chilling along a main road right here. My point being overall though, that with these two nations, it's quite clear that there is a land connection used by many people that we have yet to see really in the other nations. How do the peoples of Liuwa get to Sumeru? There is no way all of them go by water. And there's definitely speculation here that this road connects back up to Sumeru, and this unreleased region of Liuwa, possibly Blackcliff Forge related, is how NPCs get to Sumeru via land. You know, that spot with a single lone Liuwa house, just sitting there, all by itself, waiting for the day that it's finally free from its job as a placeholder of the illusion that anything exists past this point in the game. Anyway, this is plausible. On the other side of Sumeru, there is also a path leading into this region, but if we look further on the Sumeru side, this road is incredibly difficult to get to. So it doesn't even seem very plausible that this could be used as a main thoroughfare for your everyday NPC. If I come over here, you can clearly see, right, there is a road that goes through here. You've also just got this little bit of road right here where it's like they just forgot to paint it in, which is quite funny as well because this whole road takes you to another part of the Aranara quest, but it's like it's definitely not meant to be that color. If you look at the other part, it's the color of an out of bounds road. Yeah, it's inbounds. So let's just take a moment to follow this road back down, and as we can see, it goes past an Eremite palace, already quite dangerous because these people want to attack you on sight. And then you go through here and you end up at a Hilichurl camp. And let's say just for a moment, we try to ignore the Hilichurl camp. You know, it could have been set up fairly recently and just hasn't been dealt with by the rangers. But then here we see, it doesn't even connect up to the main road. If this was being used as a main NPC route, then surely it would connect up. So overall, I think I'm gonna have to give this road a rating of painted road out of 10. It is severely underdeveloped and there are just way too many safety issues. So I would mainly recommend focusing on improving the safety of these roads first. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And here we have the path leading up to the Statue of the Seven, quite nearby to where we just were. So if we just come up here, as you can see, you know, it makes sense, right? You've got a road leading somewhere. It has a point to it. If we're meant to just take a moment to assume the NPCs are using this as a road to get to a Statue of Seven, but then why does it just come to a dead stop here? Because you would think there is a point to it. But then if the assumption we're supposed to make is that this is being used to get to a statue, if anything, it would make sense for it to come all the way up. If people were going back and forth, they would have formed the path up here as well. Yet it doesn't. It just stops right at these berries. For this road, I'm gonna have to give it a 3 berries out of 10. Safety is pretty much a non-issue. It's quite close to civilization. The only problem really is that it needs to actually make sense. And here we have one that was only added in 4.6. But we'll start here. After seeing the map for the first time, I thought, well, okay, they haven't added a road on the map, but then they don't do that for every single road that's actually in the game. And I do remember there being a path that does lead up to this area. So maybe they have actually connected it in the world, but nope. So you kind of just have to climb up, might I emphasize climb. It's not even a clear-cut path, and you've got loads of super dangerous enemies here too that are trying to attack you. So the Eremites and Sumeru guards aren't even doing any kind of job protecting this path, assuming it's even being used to transport goods. So you have to climb up, which, I mean, is a huge accessibility issue first of all, and makes no sense if they're using carts either. And then there, it just stops. And you take a bit more of a stroll north and eventually come across a new road, completely disconnected from the one we were at a mere 2 seconds ago. Oh, and it's right next to the Aranara civilization too. So how they haven't been discovered is beyond me. And what do we find? A broken down cart. What would a cart be doing here if not to transport goods? Ignoring the untimely demise the person using it might have inevitably had, which I should probably report to the city actually, given the tiger right above me here. This suggests though that there was some kind of transportation of trade goods here, but to where exactly? Is this confirmation that they do indeed go through this way by land? And look, you've got how many? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 carts along this road from the harbour, but it just kind of leads out to nowhere. And this makes absolutely no sense why there isn't a road here if we're assuming it's in such frequent use. But then perhaps that could imply that it's not commonly used as a method of getting from the harbour to Sumeru. However, if this was the case, we then turn to our new conundrum. Unless the people of Sumeru have suddenly developed the ability to float down waterfalls, there's literally no other physical way they could transport goods to the city. Okay, so what about slime balloons, you ask? They use those to transport stuff all the time. And you are correct on that, but from what I've seen, they don't seem to fly high in the air enough. The only things capable of that are the airships, which are still a very new, exclusive Fontanian technology. Now this one, I'm afraid, is gonna have to get a 4 carts out of 10 because, oh, this needs work. If we're to believe that this is being used as a proper road for trade, there needs to be a lot of safety improvements here. I counted 4 carts that had been attacked on my very short walk, and there needs to be a clear road for navigation. Very disappointed to say the least. Just a quick stop at the Aranara village as well, because we can find these sort of signs all over Sumeru, right? But then, if these are actually meant and being used by the Aranara, then how exactly are the human NPCs getting around Sumeru? How are they navigating? And here we have the most egregious one of them all, the Lumberpick Valley region, because if you look at this map, you would think there aren't any roads in this area at all, except there's a lot, and none of them show up on the map. But what confuses me the most is that the implication here is that this route is mostly used by, say, adventurers going through Liyue to get to Sumeru, because it's quite dangerous and very wild here. There's a lot of enemies, so definitely not safe for your average NPC. Yet the roads are still very well formed, first of all. But what I'm getting to here is that if this isn't the case and it's not generally used for your everyday NPC, why does Legoth spawn so close to it? Because this is a serious matter of investigation. Legoth, when his quest activates, he spawns here, and the only reason he could possibly be here is if he came through Lumberpick Valley to transport his goods. There's nowhere else he could have come from. And we've got Legoth here talking about a main road, but it's never made clear what road he's even referring to. The descriptors are all super vague, so we never get a clear idea of what is really going on with the road situation. Here's also another example of the road just stopping, which again, you have all these other roads going through Lumberpig Valley that all connect, but then as soon as you get to one that you would think would be very important, it just stops. So if we go through here and follow perhaps where he would be going, one, we've got another road which stops and starts again, and the paths are very windy, also filled with a load of enemies. I mean, just look at that. That is a huge safety hazard right there. You've got a giant rock just hanging around. That could fall any second. I definitely need to let Sumeru City know about this one. Okay, so looking at the map, this also somewhat confused me at first as well. How is an NPC supposed to read this map and navigate through it? Because I couldn't figure out a way that a trading cart would even get through all these passes into Sumeru City itself. But there is one way they could get to the city if they're going from Lumberpig Valley, and that's through here. If they go across this bridge here, they have to wrap all the way around the city first. So is this being used as a trade route between Liyue and Sumeru or not? Because otherwise this is a huge waste of time and resources as well. You've got lamps and fences going all along that need an incredible amount of upkeep, and again, just incredibly unsafe. Just loads of enemies waiting to attack you. So for now, I'm gonna have to give this one a... I'm not sure how trade routes even work in Teyvat out of 10. I'll get back to you on that at a later date. Now, there's still plenty of roads that we haven't taken a look at, but after having looked at Fontaine, I think that one's gonna need a whole other video. At the end of the day though, the point of this video was to just stop to take a look around and recognize the things that perhaps we don't always pay attention to in game, whether we're just trying to complete our dailies or teleporting from one stop to another. And I hope this encourages you too, even if just for a second, to stop and really take in the small things that make up the larger world of Genshin.